welcome. Thursday
Welcome.
Night Live with those two sisters. Tonight we're going to catch up on Love and Marriage DC because she's been waiting for me to catch up on the episode. So I finally did, and I've been missing it. It's good. It's really good. Let me
Yes,
make sure.
I agree. It
Well,
was
shout out
amazing.
Confessions and Dina. I just want to say this really quick, and I'm gonna say it again towards the end. But Dina, aka Christina Moore, is reviewing the final season, I believe, of Snowfall. So that's gonna be tonight at 9 o'clock. I can't remember what episode it's on, but definitely go check her out. I'm gonna say it again when we get off. But anyway, welcome,
What's
welcome,
what?
welcome.
Welcome. So when I remember when we first started filming and she was reviewing Snowfall, I don't know if it had first come out or I don't know what happened, but I remember thinking Snowfall was something else. Like I didn't know it was what it was until James started watching it, because I remember thinking it was like a one of those man, what's the name of that? Not Handmaid's Tale, but the old, you remember they had that one show where they was wearing the cloaks and we were like, that cloak is bomb. I'm about to give me a cloak. You remember that?
I don't remember what we were watching. Was it Harry Potter?
They used to say Winter's Coming. What's the name of it?
Oh, yes. Game of Thrones.
Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
So I thought Snowfall was
like that.
one of those shows.
Okay.
Little did I know.
Yeah, little did I know. Yeah. I actually still have to catch up on it, but it is good. But yeah, so shout out to her. But anyway, what were you so excited to talk to me about love and marriage? Like, what part? Like, I don't know. Do you want to start at the beginning? I was just like, I've been missing all of this. I've been missing it.
Okay. Look, Love and Marriage. Okay, so let me just say, I was really excited because let's take it all the way back to the beginning of the Love and Marriage franchise. Like when they first started in Huntsville, I remember my mom actually, or our mom, I was talking to the audience, but mommy actually said to me, "Are you watching that show Love and Marriage?" And I was like, "No, I'm not." And then I started watching it and I kind of liked it, but it was kind of like, at the beginning, it was a little bit fake. It was like they knew they were on TV and they were acting accordingly. Then a whole bunch of stuff started to pop off, but I got bored like after the first season, and I was like, I don't really want to watch the second season. And I think that's when stuff started to happen. And then flash forward where they're like on social media talking about each other and going on different talk shows and stuff. And so when I came back to it, maybe at the end of the last season, or actually no, you had done something on like a review, and somebody was on like Tasha K's show or something like that, and that's when I got
that was the so I watched it. I definitely watched the first season. I watched a little bit of the second season, and then I kind of fell off. I don't know why, but I just never picked back up until they started talking about I think her name is Ariane. She was like messing with Martell, and it was this whole thing or whatever. Hey, Gwendolyn. And so I kind of got back into it, but I missed a whole chunk in the middle. Like, I missed the whole chunk in the middle. I mean, she didn't wrote songs. It's crazy.
And I did see some of that stuff online. And this is the thing. I guess it's a testament of like whether the show's doing well or not, because like it'll show like it's a part of my life because it's a part of my feed. And I didn't even go and search or look for the show, but it's showing up like things that are happening from the show. That's kind of like how I got introduced to the baddies or whatever they're doing over there, because I didn't even watch that. I'm not even signed up for Zeus, but I knew who the characters were, who the personalities were, because they show up online. And so if I'm online, then you can see like, who people are. Anyway, that said, I only brought that up to say, trying to get a feel for like how this show should go, or what the concept for Love and Marriage is, right? Starting from Huntsville. And to me, it looked like, just a reality show about married couples. Now, flash forward to DC. When they were coming to DC and we knew they were coming to DC, I was very excited, and I still am. I'm even more excited now. But like, I remember last season and just knowing about DJ Quick, the Samuels, like we knew about them because of Potomac, Real Housewives of Potomac. And so I was just really excited, and they were coming to that area. So it was just like, oh, this is bomb. Now, that was a good season, But coming into this season, I'm even more excited. So when I was like after you, like,
Yeah.
trying to
Yeah,
get
I started watching it last night and I finished today. Now, I will say that Love and Marriage Huntsville and Love and Marriage DC, apples and oranges. You feel what I'm saying? And the reason why when they started Love and Marriage Huntsville, it was like those people, I guess they knew each other and they had already done business with each other, and then they kind of started. So that's kind of how we got, hooked onto them.
Yeah.
But this situation was so different. I mean, I don't know whether it's just the personalities or, or what, but I really am excited for the season. Last season was good, but like they're really, stepping it up. And I really feel like where I would normally look at the shows and be like, okay, I wonder if that person faking, that person faking. Like with Jamie, I know that shit is real. Like,
hello.
That's
okay.
I know he's one person that is not going to be like, all right, I'm gonna do this for the camera. I know that. So
I feel like that about a lot of them on the show. Sorry to cut you off, but this is what I meant. I guess what I was getting at, which I didn't even really flesh out until just now, is that if we're comparing apples to apples, I would compare the first season of Love and Marriage Huntsville kind of to the first season of Love and Marriage DC, because there was a little bit of fronting. You know what I'm saying? It was like, oh, welcome here, and this is how we hit the road. And it's just like, okay, thanks for, putting on your front or whatever, but not everybody was doing that. I'm just saying, like, it was like packaged. You know what I'm saying? And now I feel like it's a real, it's like a real show. It's like, this is really what's happening. So let me jump in because
wait. So okay. Gwendolyn, are you talking about Love and Marriage Huntsville? Season 1 was boring, so artificial. Season 2 I watched off and on, but now mainly listen to bloggers and reviews. Yeah. I think she's talking about Love and Marriage Huntsville. I mean, it is very interesting, and like, especially when certain people, give their take on it or whatever. I like watching the bloggers do that because sometimes you're not even paying attention to some things that stand out to other people. So I like to watch those for that. But I never went back to watch those episodes. Maybe I'll think about it.
I mean, I don't think it's worth it. This is not, like, I hate to say it, but I just don't think it's worth it. And one thing about it is, like, not to say they're irrelevant, but I don't care. They're not. I don't know. Maybe it's worth it. I don't want to say that it's not them that's not worth it. I just feel like the show is not. It's not really that great to be going back and like, oh, I got to figure out why this is happening. Okay. You know what I'm saying?
It's I could probably just catch up from I probably know everything that's happened based on what's been on the, blog sites and bloggers talking about it in interviews and songs that then come out or whatever. So I have the gist, I guess.
And this is coming from me, who also hasn't gone back to watch it, right? So there's something to be said about that. All right. So look, let me say this. We'll just go over the cast real quick. And I do have this. I guess I can share my screen. Hold up. So here's the deal. When we talk about, so one of the reasons why I love this cast so much is because, like you said, they're real. Talking about, I'll just start right from the top here. Can I share that? Or there you go. So I'll just start right from the top. Something about Irena, I just love her. I just feel like maybe it's because I'm from, because we're from DC. It's like her accent, and like I feel like I understand the way she thinks, and even the way that and most of the time I just feel like she just be chilling. Like I feel like she's a mom. She gets up, she does her thing. She always looks good. She shows up. She seems like a fun person. Like she doesn't ever really, in my opinion, like bring any drama. She just be like chilling, like, oh yeah, that should be fun.
So I want to interject there because I agree with you up to the point where you said she don't bring no drama, because based on the last 2 episodes, she is being messy. Like, but she knows. I think she knows she's being messy, but she really.
I guess. I don't know. I guess I could see that, but I don't think she meant anything by it. I think sometimes maybe she does stuff and she later realizes.
Well, but in her defense, though, that person that would have done that would have been Monique, but Monique's not there. So maybe that's an element.
And I don't know. I just feel like she just didn't. I feel like she didn't maybe think it all the way through, like, oh, this could happen. But but she didn't say anything. Again, she wasn't wrong.
Right.
She didn't say anything inaccurate. It's like, so it's just like, okay, like, there's that. We'll get into that when we get into that. So, Jamie, which was interesting to me because I think the first season they had him as like this club owner or whatever, and then it comes up at the beginning of this season that he's retiring as a detective. Yeah. And I was like, how did I miss that? And I don't think they ever said that last season.
Yeah, well, so it was talked about last season.
Oh, okay.
That he was in law enforcement, but he was trying to retire, and so he really wasn't, I feel like last season he was really trying to retire. He wasn't trying to have no drama.
Yeah.
So he just kind of, kept it chill.
I but like
this season, I could tell he just like, and what? You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. No, I'm not mad at it.
I don't gotta be walking that straight line no more, whatever.
I feel you on that.
Be a law enforcement person. Like that's a lot. So, you know what I'm saying? Congrats to him on his retirement, but he's letting himself be known this season. Like the real him, you know what I'm saying?
I like it. I love it. I just think it's really fun. Okay, Ashley Silva and DJ Quicksilver. Now, we all know who DJ Quicksilver is if you are in this area, or maybe even if you're not in this area. Ashley is like one of my faves. I think she's hilarious. I felt like last season, even though Monique was kind of like supposedly the person who like got the group together, like, how they always have that. It's just like, oh, me and a bunch of my friends.
Random, why are we meeting up meetings?
Yeah. But I think Ashley kind of like almost was the front. It was like the main personality just because her personality is so big. So I felt like, I really like Ashley. She's definitely one of my most loved ones.
I like Ashley. JR says he doesn't like Quick's wife. Bad characteristics, but she cute. She is cute. Now, the reason why I like Ashley.
Bad characteristics? Oh, you got to explain that.
I don't know what it is, but especially if we're from the same, like, area. Now, I'm not from Baltimore, but I went to school in Baltimore, so it's kind of like still a little, if you're away and you see somebody from that area, you're gonna feel like an affinity to them, like, okay. And so I don't know, Ashley, I like Ashley, but it's just the same thing that she said when she was explaining who Joy was. Like, some people say what they think out loud, and you can't really tell nobody how to be themselves. You know what I mean? Where you might think, oh, I won't cuss in public, or I won't do this, or I won't do that. That's you. Somebody else might be like, they go straight up ask you, what are you wearing? Who the fuck you talking to? Like, that's just how straightforward they are, or whatever. So, but they all got a little bit of messiness, but I guess you got to have that.
Yeah, for sure. I guess so. And look, nobody's perfect. So even if she has bad characteristics, I really don't know what that means, but
I know he's not being specific.
Even if that's the case, everybody would have them, but they would probably just, I guess, someone who wouldn't have them.
It depends on what you like. You know what I'm saying? Certain people, like, I don't know. It
just depends. Yeah.
In your life, like, there's certain personalities that I just already know off rip that we wouldn't get along together. Whether it's like somebody that I've been on a team with or whatever, it's certain personalities that your energy just don't mix. You know what I'm saying? And that's just how it is. And I think that's what's happening with Winter. And it's
I was gonna say segue in.
He's hanging on to the outside to be inside. It's really wild to watch, but.
So this is good that you said it that way. Some people that you just wouldn't get along with, because I feel like, okay, first of all, Winter is for me, she's a mystery because I can't figure. I feel like I'm being punked as a viewer.
With Winter?
Right? Like, why is she here? Like, she's not. The name of the show is Love and Marriage. The name of the show is Love and Marriage DC. I don't even think she's from DC. I'm not sure. Maybe she is.
I don't know.
I can't see how she could have survived here so long if she is. But, she's, to me, not trying to judge nobody, but she's really messy. She doesn't really have a storyline, and she's not in love, and she's not in marriage. And so I don't understand, like, what the purpose is. And it seems like everywhere she goes, a problem is created. And it's like she's so her facial expressions don't match what she's saying. It's so weird and uncomfortable to watch her because you're just trying to figure out like, what are you? What are you doing? And what is your purpose?
Okay, let's look at it like this. She was, because I really was trying, I was like, when I started watching it, I said, you know what? I'm not going to automatically just look, past winter this season. I'm going to go ahead and see what she's bringing, right? Because last season, she was technically married when they first started the show, I guess. Sure. So before the show came on. But then that whole situation didn't work out. And she immediately kind of led with it to me because she told them, certain things that you say in a public place that is going to get received a certain way by the majority of people. And so when she started talking about her marriage, I was like, she had to know, since they were filming that, somebody was going to say something or ask some type of question. It just so happened that Ashley did it right there on camera. You know what I'm saying? But real. I was trying to give her a chance, but she just seems like, I don't know what the point of her being there is, in the sense of, if they all hang together, I mean, I guess she's friends with a couple of people, so that's her in or whatever. But why keep bringing somebody around when you know that a lot of people, it's going to cause a lot of problems? Like,
is she really friends with people? I'm just noticing now that Sherelle and Black aren't even on here, but we're gonna get to that because I'll click to another page where you can see who they are. But that's interesting because I also saw, maybe they joined on later or something like that.
Well, so the thing, remember last season they had another couple too that was kind of like, but they never got any footage from them or whatever. But they were the fourth couple, you know what I'm saying? But not. They weren't advertised on the flyer, and I guess this is the same way too because they need 3 main couples, and then everybody else I guess is like a friend because Sherelle is a friend of Ashley. Is she friends with Arena too, or just Ashley? Ashley and Winter. So,
so here's the weird thing. We'll get to that in a second. But I don't even think that Winter's really friends with Sherelle. Like, I just can't even see that happening. But I don't know. I don't really know. And I don't really think that I mean, look, when Monique introduced her last season, it was one of those things where they told her not to bring her around anymore. So starting this season where she has another friend, she just happens to have another friend that's in the circle that wasn't around last year. Maybe she was around, but they weren't on camera. But it just doesn't, I feel like this is where I feel like I'm getting punked by OWN because you're trying to sell the story and I'm calling BS and we don't believe you. You need more people because none of these people interact with each other like that. Like I feel like Arena and Ashley and Jamie and Quick were friends. I buy that. And I also think that Clifton and Joy probably joined in the mix. Mm-hmm. And I do know that Joy is a performer in the area, so I know she knows people, and I would imagine that Clifton knows people too. But Winter just has no story. Like I don't even know what she does. Like there's a bunch of things floating out around. Like she got a song, and then she's a minister,
so she did,
and then she's a
she went and laid the track with Black. She laid that track with Black.
She's not a singer, guys. Come on.
No, she's not a singer.
Nobody believes that. I don't even know how she got in the studio.
Like I said, I wanted to try to clean the slate for her, but I am trying to figure out what she's trying to do because the stuff she's even doing is messy. Like you're recording a song with Black, and you have to at this point know that all of y'all are affiliated with the show at this point. So this is going to come out because the cameras are there. So this has to be the case. So it's like, okay, I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't want to be around nobody that tried to ban me from being around them. I'd be like, I'm over here.
And then the fact that she's making this song that she knows is like controversial, that she's laughing about it. And then the other thing that I thought was weird is like she's constantly keeping people's names in her mouth, even though she's coming in front of them and she's saying like, oh, well, I was told, someone sent me that. It's like, well, why though? Why is it your like direction and focus to be sharing things that people sent when you don't even, you know what I'm saying? It just doesn't make any sense. And she just shows up and it's just weird. I'm just telling you, it's weird to me, and it feels weird and it feels like forced. And I mean, she must be somebody's niece who produces the show or something. That's all I can think of, because it's just like, why are you here? You're like not. Nobody really wants you around, in my opinion.
Well, I'll say this though, it's like when she is around, like a lot of shit pops off. You know what I'm saying? Like, to your point. But like that kind of keeps it a little interesting. But it is like, you can only take a person can only take so much. So I can see, that they need to stop doing that. I mean, this has already been filmed, but I didn't hear she got slapped or anything, but I just really wanted her to be like just chill. I didn't want her to go in there like confronting people like she's been doing. And then I don't know, I feel like she's that person that starts something, but then she tries to act like she didn't do it, because she was telling Ashley that she's the one that started this all by asking her the question. And I'm like, so she couldn't ask a question about what you put out? So that's how Winter's saying. She's saying that Ashley started it by asking that question.
Which is gaslighting. And it's like, how you gonna step into a situation, create drama, and then gaslight and say like, oh, well, if you wouldn't point out the drama, then we wouldn't have drama. It's like you started it.
So, but at the same time, like I said, she was married before they started. So in her mind, like, she initially was supposed to be there, right? Mm-hmm. And then it just so happened that they broke up, and then she's still around. Okay. And I just, like I said, if you're on the show, if you're on a show, you know that it's being filmed, you know that certain things, that are said will cause certain problems. You know what I mean? So like, why put that out there like that? Knowing, I don't know. Like, I just feel like.
I feel like she's the villain. I feel like they cast her as the villain. And I'm just going to go with that.
Definitely is in that villain role right now.
I think that's what she is. She's like
everybody else.
She's, like, we've seen the Omarosas and I wouldn't even compare her to New York, because New York's personality was bigger than that. And it was like, I feel like New York was being an exaggerated version of herself, but I feel like Winter is faking. So that's my take on it, guys.
I don't know. I guess we'll have to see how it plays out or whatever, but she did have another song coming up.
So on to Clifton and Joy, because they were my favorite couple out of the Love and Marriage. I'm sorry, not Love and Marriage. Ready to Love.
Potomac.
It was it? I can't remember which.
Potomac. They were in the Potomac season, yeah.
They were one of my favorite couples, because I had another couple too that I liked. I can't remember who it was, but I really am enjoying them. I feel like, they're just fun to watch. I think they're funny. I'm also getting to know a little bit about them more than, what was shown, obviously, because they're growing their relationship. They're engaged now. They're planning a wedding. Mm-hmm. Cliff is coming out with a beard oil. Joy's doing her thing with her performing. And then we get to see, which we can't see here, but I think if I go to the shows, oh no, that's wrong. Oops. If I go to live full episodes, you can see like a picture of Sherelle, I think. So anyway, you can see that no, we don't see them. I don't know why, because one of the promo pictures too had them in it, and then another one,
they had different ones.
There's a picture of them. This is the other.
I noticed that when they were, before the show started to air for this season, they had posted the ladies had posted the picture that they all took on the couch on their Instagrams. But I noticed that the one that Joy posted was just her and the other, it was not including Sherelle.
Right. And now it makes sense to me.
Yeah, now it makes sense.
But okay, let's go ahead. Now that we've talked about that, so let me just touch on them real quick. They are like friends of friends. So actually, it's not like I've ever.
Arena. They start hanging out with Arena. And them,
yeah, and honestly, I've been in circles with them. I'm sure you have. Yeah, I know you've been in circles with them. So we actually have somewhat of it's not a personal relationship. Like, I've never like been over their house for dinner or anything like that. But I've definitely been around them before. So
we definitely have gone to a J&J Entertainment function.
Yeah, and
a few.
Being on the scene here, it's hard not to meet people who are, on the scene. So that's basically how that goes. But what's funny is some of these things that have happened so far. So I'm gonna start with episode 1 and what I thought was interesting. So episode 1, I think, and I might get these sort of mixed up. We're gonna go through the timeline. So the season starts. We kind of meet everybody coming back for season 2, and then Arena is having a party for her son who's blind, and he's getting his own apartment and all that stuff. And then Jamie, little Jamie, comes and they having a problem with him because apparently he's like, they call him entitled and stuff like that. Now, disclaimer here, because I feel like when you get to talking about people's kids, it's very personal. And then it's personal not just because they're your kids, but it's also personal because you're talking about your own parenting, right? Mm-hmm. So some of the things that were said were a little bit, to me, like, oh, even between the couples, I felt like Quick said some things to his wife that I felt you say to your wife, right? Husband and wife, but you don't necessarily want to be aired. And I mean, I'm pretty sure they have a close relationship, so I'm not trying to cause no beef or nothing, but I felt like I wouldn't say that about somebody's kid that I'm close to.
Yeah, and I mean, they don't see, if it's like other shows, they don't see the episode until we all see it. So they also probably have, like, I know if it was me, I would have already had these conversations in the back. If I'm going to say it, I'm going to say it to you anyway. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But it still has to feel some type of way to hear it. And I know for a fact, I don't care what nobody say, especially when they met up later on in the season and they were at the fun place and Quick was telling him all that stuff. I know Jamie was like, what is this Bama talking about? Like, is he really sitting here saying this right now?
Yeah. And so here's the thing too that I have to say, because for some reason I have just a special place in my heart for little Jamie. Not that he's so great or whatever, like, but I just feel that he's such a real young man. Like, I feel like he's being honest, and I feel like I've met so many people like him who, you know, this is not like, you know, it's not like Chicago or anything, like, you know what I'm saying? But it's very easy to get caught up in a certain crowd and just start doing the things that your friends do and, you know, catch a case. And like, it's easy to do that. It's not really that hard. It's not like, you know what I'm saying, you grew up in a college town and, you know what I'm saying, like, you're in all the after school activities.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
but I think that was part of Jamie's frustration, because I think part of it is that, you know, when he was growing up, there was no real communication between parents and child. And what I mean is, right, present day, people sit down and talk to their kids about everything.
Yeah.
It wasn't like that. You know what I'm saying? For mommy, it wasn't like that for her. You know what I'm saying? Like, they got what they got. You know what I mean? So I could see his frustration because he don't know what to do. He just like, you just need to flip the switch on and be a man. You know what I'm saying? Because that's how it probably was given to him too. Like, eat that shit, be a man.
Yeah.
Or whatever. But I really am glad of how it's progressing and where it's going right
now. I am too. I was touched. I really was. I really like where this is going with them. But anyway, all right, on to the next thing. Then Ashley talks about her mother's abandonment. Now that is personal also, but I also feel like once you get to a certain age, you kind of have to, you know, heal yourself, because like you said, just with the whole here's the thing, like, your parents do what they can do, and everybody's going to make mistakes because nobody's, like, you know, perfect or whatever. But at the same time, if you have not gotten something from your parent and now you're an adult, like an adult, like, and you have kids, it's kind of like up to you to like find your own happiness. And you can't really be, I'm not saying can't, you can do whatever you want to do. But I just thought that particular situation, I don't know. I guess I just didn't get it because
you didn't get it on Ashley's side or her mom's side?
I didn't get it on Ashley's side. I kind of like, cause she was abandoned. And I don't know the full story, but it seems like her mom left and went to stay with her boyfriend, right? Like, so the mom had a boyfriend, and Ashley was like in her teens, maybe like 15 or 16, as I'm recalling it. And she said that her mom left, and her mom was saying, like, there was always an adult there. Like, what are you talking about? Da, da, da. I that didn't happen to me, but like I do remember when I was in high school and mommy had to go and get several jobs because she was trying to pay for my college tuition. So there were times where I would just be out. Like I would go to my friend's house and spend the night for a few days. And it's not even like I couldn't come home, but I just didn't want to be home. But I felt like, I don't know. Maybe I just put myself in that situation and I just didn't care. But, but
I
mean,
mean, but
obviously,
mommy never moved out. Like, if she's
no, it's
saying that
true.
her mother moved out, that's kind of like, what are you doing? You know what I'm saying?
It's true.
But again, so you like what you said. Like, if there's no handbook that comes when having a baby. You don't even have to know how to drive to have a baby. Like, you don't gotta take no test. You can create a life. You know what I'm saying? So you only can do what you can do, right? And but there is a point where you have to, like, you can talk about, oh, this happened to me, this happened to me, this happened to me, and there's so many different things that happened to all of us. That at some point, yes, you have to say, okay, yes, this happened to me, but I'm going to, heal that. Like, I have to, acknowledge that this has happened, but how am I going to move forward and not let it be, oh, I'm on drugs now because, of somebody else. Like, and it's not like I'm not saying that it's that easy, but you're right. At a certain point when you become an adult, you are responsible for your own happiness.
And so she's trying to get her mom to like take accountability or whatever that means for her. And the mom is basically like, what are you talking about? And at some point in the conversation, she said something like, but you were fine. And I think Ashley was like, I'm paraphrasing here, but like, just because I acted fine, just because I acted strong didn't mean I didn't need you. She said something to that effect. And I know I'm not saying her exact words. That can be confusing, I think. And I think that they had a real conversation, but I could feel the mom's side of it because I feel like she thought, well, I thought I did a good job and you never said anything.
But okay, so this is how I take that because, okay, I get what you're saying, right? Yeah. But then I know that there are people who would front like that just because they don't want to look dumb, right? Yeah. So her mom, not to say that her mom is fronting, but if your daughter is telling you that you did this, right, and your response is to come back to be like, oh, you're fine, you never said anything or whatever she said, like, that's your child that you decided to have, right? So I can understand her wanting her to take accountability, especially if she's never taken accountability. And so now she's going to be taking public accountability because she wrote about it in her book. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And so because she knows this is being filmed, I have to believe that some part of her was like, you know what? I don't want to say this certain thing, but I mean, it's going to play out later, I guess. We don't know. She might have came back and acknowledged it or whatever. But, even though you can move on and like create your own family and do that stuff, it's still a piece of you that if you feel like you was wronged, it's going to fix a little bit of it if somebody takes accountability for it. It may not fix everything, but that little thing will be like, you know what, at least she recognizes that she did this. But I don't know.
I guess I can see that. And then you just move, and that gives you the closure to say, okay, right? Because otherwise you're still trying to prove that it happened or something like that.
Right. Because I'm pretty sure that if it was the way that Ashley said, then how does that feel? Right. Because you're like, okay, well, now she left. You know what I mean? Yeah. And so you learn certain lessons because of that. I'm sure it was certain things, like she was saying, she missed out on some of the mothering that she's given her son. So, but it's interesting because none of us are perfect and we're all always healing, right? In some aspect of us, we always have something that we could, tweak to make a little bit better or work on to, stop doing this or, whatever. Like, we're all works in progress. And so it's just interesting to me that, these are the things that happen in real life. And if you never talk about it, you just walk around with that, whatever the feeling is making you feel, bottled up all that time, and it comes out in other ways. So I don't know. I don't know. But like I said, I'm not even trying to say that the mom is fronting, but she could be fronting because she doesn't want to take that jacket. It's some people that are just like, we just going to agree to disagree because,
And sometimes like the stuff being on TV too is an issue.
Mm-hmm.
I would hate for somebody to. Here's what I would hate, and I'm not saying this happened, but I would hate for somebody to keep something bottled up for years until they got on TV. And now they want to have the conversation with me about how they want to
Oh
heal.
Lord.
But I don't think that's what happened here because she said that her mom never acknowledged it. So I feel like it must have come up before and she just always tried to make like it didn't happen. Anyway, moving along from that.
I feel like, because this is moving right along because
Well, no. I didn't want to cut you off. You were gonna say.
I really had nothing important to say. I'm just like I could see, like I know people who have done that before, like currently still doing it. You know what I'm saying? Like they'll just look at it like, well, this happened, or it may or may not happen, because actually we don't always remember stuff the correct way anyway.
Yeah,
I read that somewhere. It was like your version is your version, but it may not be
real. It might not be real because like you remember things and half of the stuff, a lot of the stuff that you remember isn't real. But I will.
Yeah, but some stuff is we can come together and be like, you saw this and I saw this. And if her mother knows that she wasn't living in the house, just because it was an adult there doesn't the question is not did she have supervision? Was her mother there, right? So her mom, like I said, I'm not saying the lady's fronting, but I'm just saying, why would somebody say something that heavy and be lying about it?
That's true. And the more I think about it, she doesn't really seem like a crier to me. And even just looking at this scene right here makes me think that maybe it's possible that maybe something happened to her that she doesn't really want to talk about or she hasn't brought up while she was, while her mom was in here. Or it's possible that she has some, whatever she had to do for herself, right? Mentally, emotionally, landed her in situations that she wasn't, that she feels like she could have been advanced past if her mom had been. So I'm speculating because she never said any of that. But just looking at the scene where she was crying, she doesn't even seem like a crier to me. So it just there might be more there than is being shared.
And I
so
just don't see her making that shit up.
I don't either. I wouldn't even want to say that. Like I don't even, even if I was speculating and playing the other side, I don't think she made it up. I just wanted to make the point that, maybe this was her thing to be able to get past it and say, now moving on, because I had to acknowledge this so that I can move on. So closing the door.
So, okay, really quick before we
go ahead.
So she wrote the book. I just think in my head real quick. She wrote the book and she got the information in the book. And I'm pretty sure they had a conversation because either she was going to want to tell her mother, listen, I wrote about this and this is what's going to happen. I mean, that was a perfect opportunity to talk about it. But then if her mother's just like, oh, well, I want you to not put that in there and it's already out there. But I don't know. I just see that being an ongoing conversation because she does also seem like a person to be like, listen, I put this in my book.
Yeah, she does. And speaking of, I think earlier we had brought up how people say things sometimes and they maybe shouldn't have. I thought there's this one scene where Joy is explaining to the group that she got invited to a Steve Harvey event with Steve and Marjorie Harvey to speak to single women or single moms on how to find love or something like that, or like people who are ready to love, because she wasn't ready to love. And Ashley came out and was like, but do they know you're not a single mom, but you're not a mom, right? And I was like, okay. And then the way that Joy responded to it was kind of like what I guess I would have said if somebody said that to me, like, but they invited me. I'm going because they invited me. You know what I'm saying? So I felt like that was a little bit of a weird conversation because I think sometimes, and again, we don't see the whole conversations. We're just seeing edited snippets of this, but it looked like people in the room and around were kind of cringed by that. I think she just dropped off, but I'll just keep on talking because I could just talk forever. So it looked like the people in the room were made uncomfortable by that comment. And I feel like, when you make a comment like that, it's like, I get that you're saying what's obvious, like you're stating facts, but sometimes it doesn't really, like, where is it going, right? So like you could make a statement, and I'm so guilty of this, right? So this is why I guess it stuck out to me so hard. you make a statement that's like true or like factual, and then but there's no like what's your end game, right? Like, so you said that and it's true, so like now what do we do with that, right? Like, are you trying to prove a point? Is it going somewhere, or are you just saying like, well, whatever? So I just felt like she maybe shouldn't have said that, but I was just explaining that I do the same thing sometimes, because you're just stating a fact or what you feel to be an observation, and it's not necessarily like going anywhere. Like, why would you even say that? So I felt Joyce. I felt
see, that goes back to certain people are that way. Like, I wouldn't say that because why? I wouldn't want to make anybody feel uncomfortable or whatever. But then you have people who are like, I got a question and I just want to know the answer. I don't mean no harm, but blah blah blah. You know what I mean?
No, and I get it, and I get it, and I get it because I'm like that too, and I have learned. But it's like, it's still on, I had this comment on it because I thought it made for a really weird like room at the time, because nobody knew what to say after that. And I felt like Joy's response was really, it was really funny because, I mean, what else can you say? And so it brought up a different point to me too, which was,
even look, right? It's so crazy because it could have just been, okay, I've been asked to speak at a Steve Harvey event about being ready to love, right? But when the single mom part was put in there, like, I was wondering too, like, okay, well, I mean, I wasn't wondering too, but I knew that one of them was gonna ask that. When I heard her say it, I was like, oh, I knew that was coming or whatever. But I mean, not everybody that speaks at an event is actually what the people, it might be a portion of something they need to hear. You know what I mean? So I don't see what.
You don't have to be just like the people you're speaking to. I think it's nice to have a diverse like array of guests. I would think it would be fun to have a single man, and you know what I'm saying, or like a single man.
I mean, because you can talk about different aspects.
Is a single man like?
I think they did make too big of a deal out of it.
You're talking about single moms, right? So a single man would be fitted to talk to them because. Like he might have some information to offer, and she's a single woman who just found love. So I felt like, it's not just, you're not just talking about, it's not a one faceted thing. Like people are, you know what I'm saying? People can walk and chew gum. So I felt like it was weird, but I also understood where she was coming from. I understood what she was saying, like the point she was making. But then once the point is made, then doesn't that feel like a little odd that you just pointed that out? Because it almost feels like, do you think I should have? So first of all, do you think I should turn down an opportunity? You certainly wouldn't turn. You certainly wouldn't turn down an opportunity.
Like, they asked me.
and then like, something else could come of that. So it's like, of course, you're going to take every opportunity that's given to you, and you're going to make the best of it because that's what life is. So yeah, that was a little weird, but I also understood like. From that, it made me understand that, like, oh, she sometimes says things that aren't necessarily, well timed. Yeah.
Yes, that is Ashley. Like, it's not even that, like, I don't even really think it's for the show. I think it's actually, she's that person that will say what's on her mind. And I mean, she didn't sound stink when she came with it. I think that what put it overboard was when they had the whole back and forth. Like, if she would have just left it there. When she said, after Joy said, they asked me, all right, conversation over with. She right, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But when it kept on going back and forth, it was just like, okay, now
now it's a little odd. It's a little thick now. But anyway, it's all love. I think that Joy handled it well. Moving into Gwendolyn said, I took Joy speaking about finding love at a certain age, not being a single mother. I could see that too. Yeah. And I also think there's more than one perspective. And I think, if you were a single dad, you might want to hear from non-single, you know what I'm saying? You might want to hear from anybody.
And those two people's thoughts are gonna be alike. So I said, I'm not wondering why she was asked there, but I wonder why they're shocked that Ashley asked that.
Yeah, I guess I can see
I can see the question popping up at first when you first hear that, because it's like, well, you know what I'm saying? If I say I'm going to show people how to cook vegan food, right? But if I say I'm going to show people at the barbecue place how to cook vegan food, you're going to automatically think real quick, why are you don't eat barbecue? So, you know what I'm saying? But that doesn't mean that somebody doesn't want to learn how to cook vegan food. So right. I get it, right? But I just I knew because Ashley is just that type of person. Like she showed that last season, and Sherelle is also that type of person, which why I'm not surprised that they're acquainted or whatever, because some people are just like that. Like,
let's get into the Sherelle thing, because like I said, there's a relationship there and I have mad respect for them, but I have to talk about this whole 15-year beef thing and that whole situation.
Okay.
So let me just address the elephant in the room, which is, it's odd to me that we haven't seen Joy and don't even know his real name. We haven't seen
Alfred.
Joy.
Alfred.
Oh, yes, that's right. We haven't seen Joy and Alfred. Now, maybe that situation exists, or maybe they have taken steps, both individually or as a production team on that level to keep them apart. Or maybe it's like a thing where, okay, they've just kept each other apart from themselves because they know, like, I don't really want to talk to that other person. But it strikes me as odd that we're talking about this subject that only involves the two of them from this cast, and we haven't seen them two have a conversation. Even if they were to have a conversation like with their mates, because you know how sometimes people get, I think this is how this came up actually, because people be real weird sometimes about, like, and I'm not saying this is wrong, but like, don't talk to my husband, talk to me, like as a wife, or don't talk to my wife, talk to me as a husband, right? And I get that because people can be kind of messy, whatever, but it doesn't really seem fitting in this case because they work so closely together. Like when you're in a band with somebody, like it's not like an office job. Like you're pretty, I'm not going to say you're pretty tight, but like you have to be in sync in order to play music together. You know, I can't really explain it, but it's like when you are a part of a band, you're a unit. It's like one sound. Like you literally have to be in sync with everyone else. You can't really be removed from people. You're in the same pocket. So
right.
And I know that,
and that hanging together creates that chemistry that you need too, like in practices and whatever outings they do or whatever. But so go ahead. I'm sorry.
So look, I'm gonna make this point real cute. I think it's odd that we're talking around this conflict that they have, and we haven't seen them have the conversation about it. I can only speculate that there's so much being left out, because Joy is very careful with her words. I don't know if anybody notices this, but she's really, she's entertaining. She keeps it cute for the confessionals, and she has these little sound bites and she has these little funny things to say, but you can tell that she's not the person who's like speaking her full mind. Even when she sat there with Irena and was telling her kind of like the scoop or the tea or whatever, she was choosing her words.
So because she probably already has said that to somebody before about what happened, because they're a very popular band, right? Why'd y'all break up? What happened? I'm pretty sure she has a select few people that she has told, but she ran that jump down like this. And, she probably told Clifton everything too. You know what I'm saying?
Of course. Of course.
So, but the thing to me, like, yeah, it's the business thing, but like, if you were dealing with somebody if you was cheating on somebody and you were supposed to be with my friend, I can see, not to say that that's the problem, but that's like,
is that what you picked up? Okay, go into that. How did you get there?
What you mean?
You just threw that out there.
Well, she said that she told Irena, I think she was telling Irena that because he said that it was after he dealt with her, his Joy's friend, but Joy said that he was messing with Sherelle while he was dating one of her friends.
Yeah, okay.
So I can see that being like, I don't really care for that person. You know what I mean? Especially if she's still friends with that person to this day. Like, I can see her being like, what do we have to talk about? You know what I mean? And on top of that, I feel like he did shady business with me. Like, what is she like about him? If that's the view I have about him, you know what I mean? So, but they're going towards that talk now because I was so glad that I don't know if he got all the way into it or whatever, or if this was just a little clip, but I was so glad that Clifton didn't get all the way into going back and forth with Black before, even though yes, Joy's your woman, you're gonna have her side. She done told you her side, but you know that you have to let everything play out before you like jump out there or whatever. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. So, and Clifton definitely knows more about the situation than probably any of the people who know.
Right. Because Joy told him, and he even said that. He was like, you think it's deeper than that? He was like, I know for a fact it's deeper than that because she's told him everything. Yeah. Right. But so far she said out loud was that it was the ex-girl. I mean, Sherelle was the one he was messing with when she was with her friend in the bad business deals or whatever. But like, think about it. If you think a dude is shady, you ain't trying to see no parts of his woman. Like, she probably shady too. That's the thought that you might have. You know what I mean?
I think so here's
especially in the go-go world, like, come on. You know what I'm saying?
Here's the take I had on it. I didn't even have the take that she thinks that Sherelle is shady. I think she had the take that you don't know what's going on. I know him before you. Because then she said probably that. And then Sherelle was like, oh, well, that don't matter because I'm with him now. But it does matter because I knew him before you came along and we had a business relationship. And I'm basing everything that I know about him on the business relationship that we had and possibly, a friendship behind the scenes that we shared. So I'm basing what I know about him on things that you're not privy to. So I understand that you're in a marriage with him and that's great. But I'm telling you that I have a different perspective of him based on my actual experience. And this goes into like, sometimes people be like, he said, she said. I get where she's coming from as far as Sherelle, like wanting to stand up for her husband, but there's some things that you have to like,
you can't
let play out or go back to your husband and find out about.
Well, you can't overtalk yourself. Just the same position that Clifton is in. Like, he can't overtalk himself. He knows what Joy is feeling and whatever, but it's still parts that even he don't know, right?
Right.
So yeah, they do need to have a conversation. That I feel like that's the way they're going, is that they're gonna have a conversation. Black said he was open to it or whatever, but I don't know.
I don't know either.
Because you know how the go-go scene is. You know what I'm saying? When they're actually performing, it's so much going on. You got groupies trying to get with the guys. You got
guys trying to write a series. We need to write a series.
And it's so many like things going on now. Outside of that, behind the scenes, like they got to get together and practice. Somebody's putting together their songs and shows. Somebody got booked the venue. Like all of these things are happening, right? And so, I can only imagine what could come out or whatever. But I mean, I think like I said, it's simple to me because, like I said, if I already think a person is shady and they have like grimy ways, nobody that they're connected to is going to make me look at them different. Now, I don't look at Sherelle like that, but I'm just saying, like, from Joy's eyes, if she's looking at Black, like he's shifty, kind of in the way that he moved, she not really looking at having no types, like she said, no parts of Sherelle, you know what I mean? Which is crazy because, she has an outspoken personality, so she's definitely going to say what she feels too. So it's just going to be interesting. I can't believe this is only the 6th episode, but
I'm into it. Now, here's another thing. Let's go ahead and introduce this little semi-weird little mini cross beef between Sherelle and Irena because I thought that was unfair. Look, I felt for Irena in this particular situation. I really did. Listen, I'm not going to say I'm taking Irena's side because I understand, so first of all, I understand what Quick was going through. Because here he is getting, honored in his hometown. And Baltimore is not like a terribly accomplished town when you talk about like people who made it out, did something positive, and he does a lot of stuff for the community. And him being sort of like a staple and having gone through what he described in his childhood last season with his losing his mom and, having sort of like some rough times, things like this. I feel like he's a diamond in the rough as far as like, not only did I make it out, I made a name for myself. I never like sort of like, I want to say left the hood, but like everybody in my hood knows who I am. It's like, it's a rare occasion for you to come out of a hard place, make a name for yourself, still stay local, but still be like the hero type of thing.
Yeah,
I think it's a major
and it was emotional too. So I can't believe they got into that right there or whatever. But like I said, if Monique was still there, she would have been the person that would be the busybody. Raina got to be a little bit of a like, it's probably certain questions or certain things that she probably wouldn't have said in retrospect. But I bet you she was asked to ask certain things or to ask to say certain things when she met up with somebody. Not in the way that, hey, do this for TV, but I wonder what such and such thinks about this or whatever. And then Raina be like, I'm gonna ask her or whatever. You know what I mean? But she got to know she bringing a little mess, right? But that argument was funny to me because of Raina's tone of voice.
Hilarious.
Nobody even likes you. I was like, oh my God. And then Sherelle was just like,
I thought it was funny for a couple of reasons. And this is why I'm saying, like, I kind of feel bad for Raina because she didn't say anything inaccurate. Now, did she go a little bit too far into other people's business? Maybe. Did she have... So first of all, they were all wrong for having that conversation there. And if you saw how Joy hung back a little bit, like, I don't need to say anything because it won't be me making a scene.
That was... but see,
She's very sort of like
she absolutely did not need to say anything because it would not have been it wouldn't have ended any better. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely not.
That was a smart move on her point. But like, as far as like Raina goes, like you have to me, this is how I look at it. Her and Jamie, not the couple you want to fuck with in the sense of, both of them are gonna go. You know what I'm saying? And so seeing how Jamie is sometimes when he get mad, and he probably like such an asshole when he get mad too. He probably say anything, like he probably just say anything.
I can see
to
that.
Get his point across or whatever. I'm not saying Raina's like that, but she know how to go too, right? But it's like a level of not knowing when to stop when it's time to pop off. Like it's just gonna happen. You know what I mean? So
it's a part, honestly. I'm not going to say it's a part of being from this area, but a part of it is like making sure that nobody comes along and tries to bitch you because it's like, oh no, you picked the wrong one. And I don't even think that Raina got all ratchet or whatever. I think she was just not backing down off of the truth.
No, I don't think she got ratchet either, but I think that she also has a temper. And I think that just like how Jamie when he get mad, you cannot really calm him down easily. I think she's the same way, but she know how to control it a little bit better than Jamie do or whatever. But
I think in that particular instance, and I don't know her, but this is what I imagine was probably she was thinking is that, but I'm not wrong. But I'm not wrong. No, but I'm not wrong though, right?
No, I mean, what she described on that phone was the same thing that Joy said.
Hilarious. And she done pulled out the daggone definition. It was TV gold. Also, okay, in this particular instance, I don't think it should have been brought up at that event. And I also don't understand, and we're being led through a television show that is being shown by clips. So we don't know everything that's happening behind the scenes, but I don't think that should have been brought up there. And I also feel like she was the wrong person to confront.
Well, so let's talk about that.
Different way.
Remind me real quick. Sherelle confronted her.
Her, and here's what I'm thinking.
I agree with that. Before you say that, I agree with that. She came at her all wrong. Anyway, so yeah,
she wasn't the person to be confronted. I feel like if you want to go and have a conversation, but like she wasn't the person to say.
Yeah, you can't come to me and tell me what words to use to get my points across.
And I was telling the truth. I was telling what
you want to really check Joy.
But she tried to have a conversation with Joy, but peep how Joy said she didn't really want to have a conversation. She just wanted to say what she had to say. She wasn't open to sort of like the other side. So I feel like she's chasing something that that she actually shouldn't be looking for outside of her own home.
Well, I mean, now somebody has said something about her man. So now,
right. So now she's on that. When in reality, I think that either Black and Joy need to have the conversation because she's only defending her man. And I feel like that's the whole point here. She's only defending her man blindly. I don't think she really knows all the stuff because Joy's not telling her all the stuff.
Right.
And it's just like this thing that happened a long time ago. So it's like you're kind of chasing the wrong thing because it seems like what she's trying to do is clear his name. And that can't be done with like force or detective work. It's like it has to be done through a specific channel of like, let's get it all on the table and work through the actual issue. You can't go and say like, don't say that about him because I'm saying it about him based off my own experience. So that has to be worked through, right? So it was a whole weird situation. Much respect to, to them, but it wasn't it was not the right scenario to be bringing that up. So it got heated, but I did appreciate the way they came back together before the event was over. And Raina is so funny to me. She was like, yo, she's hilarious because she was like, I guess when she went over to the side and maybe Ashley talked to her or something like, you shouldn't have done that. And Raina was like, but I wasn't lying. Like, I don't know what she said, but that's in my mind. That's what she was thinking. But that's the truth. And then so she kind of calmed down a little bit and she was like, okay, you're right. So then when she went back over and her and Sherelle had a conversation, she was like, okay, I went too far. And I thought that was so cool and hilarious of her to be able to say that right then and there on the spot. Because I know the adrenaline was still present, but she was still able to mutter those words and be honest about it. Like, okay, I took it too far. Right. Yeah. Which was really cool because it's not like a beef like that. Like we're not getting ready to hurt each other. We're just, passionate about our points. So I love to see that. And then, another thing that I want to say, and I know we're over our time here, but I thought it was really super hilarious when Clifton and Black were talking because Clifton is mad cool. He was not getting ready to let him off the hook though. He's like, I don't buy that because when you don't rock with somebody, you know what I'm saying? Like you don't just say, I don't know what's wrong. Like, what's wrong.
Yeah.
I thought that was really hilarious.
Yeah. So, but I was glad that he stopped there. I mean, I don't know, maybe they filmed a lot more than that or whatever, but he's also in the position of the wife as well because he only knows Joy's side. Yeah. And not to say that it's going to change his mind, but don't jump out the window yet. Just like make your presence known, let them know what you said, but like less is more in that situation. You know what I'm saying? But
there's so much more that goes into those conversations. There's so much more that goes into those situations. So I'm glad that they're keeping it, cute for lack of a better term, because I do also know a little bit about like the business side of things. And even though people might feel they get the short end of the stick, there's business decisions being made. A business is a business. Sometimes people get laid off. Sometimes stores close. Sometimes you get no notice. Sometimes you get, 2 weeks notice. Sometimes you get whatever, right? So it's business is business. And if you're in the position of not owning the business, then you're at an effect of the owners or the managers making decisions for you. Mm-hmm. So I'm sure there's lots of information that we are lacking. And I'm not making any sort of like, statements about that because I don't know what happened, but it's all said and done. I'm glad that they were able to be civilized about it, and I hope to see either Joy and Black have a conversation for once and for all, or for them to say that they had a conversation that was behind closed doors and that they're moving on because it's nothing.
Yeah, and I feel like she feels that way too because she said she just wanted dead stuff or whatever. But I think that her and Sherelle, I think Sherelle needs to press Black. Well, she don't even need to press Black because Black already said he had a conversation. So she just needs to stay out of it until they have the conversation.
So. It's one of those things though, unfortunate. Well, it's not unfortunate, but like sometimes people feel the need to like, honor their union and make a point. And James and I have had like not similar conversations, but like let's just say somebody was to like call me out of my name or something. I don't need you to go fighting anybody. Like we're gonna go back to our nice life, and ain't nobody gonna have no court dates, and ain't nobody gonna have no. You know what I'm saying? Like whoever's ignorant, let them be ignorant. Let us get away from the ignorance and let us go and be safe rather than. You know what I'm saying? Getting ourselves into something where you have to hurt somebody and then show up for a court date, or you hurt somebody and now you gotta, be safe going back out into the street. And it's just like it's not worth it. It's never worth it. So I'm just glad to see that they're not, being violent or talking about that. But it's just weird thing where sometimes people have roles in relationships where they feel the need to like go and act on behalf of their mate and make things right. And we're still individuals at the end of the day. And whatever you did in your past, you still have to live with. So who knows what happened 15 years ago? Like Joy did a good job of explaining what, of her side or whatever. But
I mean, she gave like you said, she's PC, right? She knows what to say. She knows how to use the words. But think about the bands that we've been around. Think about the inner workings of some of the shit that went down in some of those bands that we know of.
I know.
It be complete chaos sometimes and messy as fuck. Right?
Absolutely.
So ain't no telling what happened.
And I can see how
it up in a nice little package of, lies were being told, this, that, and the other. But like, who knows how grimy it did get or whatever. But all I'm saying is, nothing against anybody in the cast at all. When I say this, I'm just saying this as a viewer, like, because I like Sherelle the trainer.
Absolutely.
But in this situation, I feel like she's at a disadvantage, and so is Clifton, because they two need to talk this out. Because she doesn't really know all that's going on, and Clifton doesn't really know all that's going on. You know what I'm saying? He knows what Joy said, but they just to keep it clean, they need to stay out of it. So I feel like Sherelle was fighting for her husband at that point, because like, why would you even confront somebody at this point? And the way she did it was like, yeah, I'm talking to you, da da da. However she did it to make Raina be like, oh, you just talking to me. Okay, you're not talking to everybody, which was weird. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, so I feel like I don't even have anything to do with it.
Right. Don't make it any worse than it has to be, because, it don't even got to get like that. You know what I mean? But
and I just don't see how Raina could have gotten out of that situation without feeling like a victim. I mean, I'm just talking about my own stuff, really. If somebody would have confronted me with that much zeal, I don't know. If you get approached with that much energy, you either have to match the energy or
just be like, girl, whatever, but
right.
But Sherelle's not the type of personality I feel like you could, girl, whatever, she gonna keep talking. So who knows how long they were standing there doing that, because we only saw a few minutes, but who knows how long it actually went on. But I know Quick was embarrassed. All the men should have really been embarrassed, because they were just standing around looking.
I don't think Jamie was embarrassed at all. I think he was probably like, that's right.
Jamie, okay.
That's right. You told
Jamie is funny. Like, I know dudes like Jamie. Like, Jamie is funny as
Jamie is hilarious. Let me just tell you, I daggone near feel like I know him, but I think it's just that I know a lot of people like him. But I feel like I know him, even though I don't recall ever meeting him. Even though I can't wait to see the rest of the episode. I literally know who he is.
I can't wait to see the rest of the season. You know what I'm saying? They still be having parties, so we might have to step out and go to one of their parties or whatever. But yeah, I'm hooked now, so I'll be up to date next time we talk, because I'm already up to date now. So tomorrow,
yeah, and I want to talk about next time more about little Jamie and how that situation is progressing, because I really love that they covered that, and I really I love how little Jamie is representing himself. I feel like he's not like it would be very easy for him to just shy away and be like, I don't want to talk to the camera. I don't want anybody to know about how I feel. But I feel like he's coming to the camera and he's saying like what he's going through. And I think he's speaking for a lot of people, which I think is very dope, because he's a young man, and this happens to a lot of people. So
oh, sorry. Right.
Cool. So yeah, that's all I gotta say about that.
But yeah, so I'm really looking forward to the rest of the season. And what's to come. I don't know. I guess we don't have to. This is a good like little sitcom, not sitcom, but a little bit of drama. Gosh, my dog. A little bit of drama to watch where we don't have to worry about nobody getting sent home. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah.
So next week we're gonna talk about Ready to Love because it comes back on tomorrow. Hopefully this is not one of the weeks they skipped. Last week was the 100th episode. I hope y'all saw it because if you saw it, Kamisha had 2 spots on there where they play her video. Before I go, follow my sister, like, share, and subscribe to this channel. But follow my sister. Her YouTube channel is in the description as well as her Instagram. In about 20 minutes, Dina, aka Christina Moore, is going to be going over Snowfall, and I believe it's in its final season. So definitely go and check her channel out. Faith, you got any closing remarks?
That's all. We didn't get to touch on the whole Tamara Hall drama and the whole Natalie Nunn and Tommy Lee, but we'll touch on that briefly next week.
Yeah, we're gonna have to talk about that.
We got to give some updates on that, and the Kentucky thing too. We're gonna give updates on that next week. I had a great time talking to you as usual. So yeah, that's all I got. Thanks.
All right, so we're gonna see you guys in the next video. Thanks for coming by.